In 2019, a man named Robert Caswell bought a Seiko SKX007. He commented on our last video to tell us that 6 years later, that watch is still running. It has survived half a decade of daily wear, 2 battery swaps, 1 crystal replacement, and a full service that cost him $80. Total investment over 6 years, $330 on a watch he bought for $200. Now compare that to the experience of a modern watch buyer. You walk into a mall today and spend $400 on a TAG Heuer Formula 1. It looks like a racing instrument, but statistically, that watch will be dead or unwearable in less than 5 years. And when it fails, the authorized service center will not fix it. They will quote you $600 and tell you the parts are no longer available. Why have we moved from an era of 50-year watches to an era of 5-year disposable fashion pieces? In this investigation, we are going to expose the engineering crimes hiding inside your watch case. We are going to look at the sealed movement scam, the proprietary parts conspiracy, and the software trap that has turned your timepiece into e-waste. The first villain on our list is the fashion watch movement, specifically the technology known as the proprietary quartz module. For decades, watches used standard quartz movements from established manufacturers like ETA, Miyota, and Seiko. These were universal engines. They were cheap, reliable, and repairable by any watchmaker on Earth. If something broke, a competent technician could source the part for $5 and have it running in an hour. But in the early 2000s, fashion brands like Daniel Wellington, MVMT, and Fossil decided to reinvent the wheel. To protect their margins and lock customers into their service ecosystem, they began using modified quartz modules with proprietary casing systems. They claimed it would improve accuracy and water resistance. But there was a fatal business flaw hidden inside the engineering. Because the module is proprietary, only the brand's authorized service center can work on it. Those service centers charge $150 minimum just to open the case. This is not a theory. This is the subject of thousands of consumer complaints filed with the FTC. When a proprietary module fails, the service center often tells you the part is discontinued. It acts like a death sentence for the watch. You cannot just replace the movement because the brand stopped making the component 2 years after the watch launched. The watch is totaled. But even if the movement survives, there is another engineering crime happening inside your modern fashion watch: the crown seal. If you own a Daniel Wellington or an MVMT, you likely know this pain personally. In the old days, the crown on a watch screwed down with a threading mechanism that created a physical water barrier. This made sense because the crown is the most vulnerable entry point for moisture. But modern fashion brands, chasing thinner profiles and cheaper assembly, replaced the screw-down crown with a simple push-pull system held in place by a rubber gasket. This is a violation of basic watchmaking physics. They are trying to seal a watch against moisture using a gasket that dries out and cracks within 2 years of daily wear. The result is inevitable. The gasket fails, moisture gets in, and the movement corrodes from the inside. It stops. It runs 10 minutes fast per day and eventually destroys the rotor. They engineered a system that fights physics just to give you a slightly slimmer profile. The second reason your watch is dying is the invasion of the smart module. Your grandfather's watch had a mechanical movement. It was a system of gears, springs, and jewels. If it broke, a watchmaker charged you $50, replaced the worn part, and handed it back running better than new. Your modern smartwatch has a motherboard. It has a printed circuit board with processors, firmware, and a lithium battery that chemically degrades whether you use it or not. And where do manufacturers put this delicate computer? Strapped directly to your wrist, exposed to sweat, heat, and impact every single day. The thermal cycling causes the solder joints on the board to crack over time. But the real killer is a feature they market as a luxury: the software update. When Apple or Samsung decides that your 3-year-old smartwatch is no longer supported, they push a final update that disables key features. The hardware is identical to the day you bought it. The watch physically works, but the software kills it. We have spoken to dozens of watch technicians who say the same thing. The moment the manufacturer ends software support, the watch is functionally dead. You are literally being forced to throw away working hardware because a corporation decided your upgrade cycle was complete. The replacement cost is $400, minimum, every 3 to 4 years. The same logic applies to the modern mid-range Swiss watch. If you bought an entry-level TAG Heuer or a Breitling 10 years ago, you were sold a story about Swiss heritage and lifetime value. But that story has a footnote they never mentioned. When the movement needs service, you must use an authorized service center. Independent watchmakers are actively blocked from accessing technical documentation, genuine parts, and calibration tools for these movements. This is the watch industry's version of the right to repair violation. The authorized center quotes you $800 for a service that costs $150 in parts and 2 hours of skilled labor. You pay it because you have no alternative. They have engineered dependency into the product. But the most insulting engineering crime is the integrated battery. This is why your smartwatch is now a disposable item. In the old days, like with that Seiko SKX007, the power source was either mechanical, wound by your wrist, or a standard coin cell battery you could swap yourself in 60 seconds with a case-back tool. Today, manufacturers like Apple and Samsung use a process called battery bonding. They glue the lithium cell directly to the internal chassis using industrial adhesive. It is permanently sealed inside. When the battery degrades after 500 charge cycles, you cannot replace it yourself. You have to send it to an authorized center. The service costs $100. The labor is $80. Suddenly you are paying $180 to restore basic functionality to a watch you paid $400 for 3 years ago. The technician looks at you and says the phrase that defines the modern watch economy: "It is not worth fixing." This is not an accident. This is a design choice. They intentionally remove the ability to service the wear components to force you to buy a new unit every 3 years. So what is the solution? If you watched our last video, you know about Seiko, Casio, and the Buy It for Life list. But not everyone wants a dive watch or a G-Shock. The alternative is to reject the smartwatch and the fashion piece entirely. When you shop for a watch, look for the simplest, most mechanical movement on the table. Look for the one without the touchscreen, without the proprietary crown seal, without the Bluetooth. The fewer features it has, the fewer things can break. Or do what the smart money is doing. Keep your old mechanical running. If you have a Seiko 5 from 2005, keep it. It is built with steel gears, a standard NH35 movement, and parts that any watchmaker on Earth can source tomorrow. It is superior to anything you can buy in a mall today. Do not be seduced by the sapphire effect glass and the carbon fiber dials. They are just lipstick on a $3 movement. They are trying to sell you a smartphone that tells time. Just like a smartphone, they expect you to upgrade it every 3 years. Stop buying their junk. If you want to know which other watch scams are destroying your money, watch this video next.